Hey guys, welcome to Wrestling Days and welcome to this Firefly Fun House Fire Theory video. That is not easy to say, certainly considering that I've been up all night working on this video. It's a big theory video. I've got about 5 big theories that I really like. They were the ones that were kind of swirling around my head as I was watching this unfold. And yeah, this is a video that I want to try and keep quite short, sweet. I want it to be an easy watch. We could have come up with like 20 different theories, a lot of them crossing over. But honestly, I think that you could kind of drown in this stuff. There's so much to explore. We need to talk about why this has happened, how Seth found this place, what the future holds, why Hell in a Cell was so important. We're going to try and touch on all of this in this video. So we've got these 5 big theories. The first one is a very basic theory. I really hope it's not this, to be honest. But this would explain things. So it's a very basic theory. The second one is that the Fiend wanted this. And we're going to touch on that because that's a very big theory. The third one is the Fiend didn't want this, but he's actually alright with it. So I kind of like that one as well. The fourth I've called freedom. And then the fifth we'll keep as a bit of a secret, a bit of a surprise at the end. There is kind of another theory, but it's not really to do with storyline. If Bray is going to SmackDown, maybe Fox just don't want the Funhouse, because obviously he could still go to Raw. Apparently there's a big trade that's going to happen. So he could still go to Raw. But if he is going to SmackDown, maybe Fox want the Fiend, but they really don't want Funhouse Bray, because it's kind of like not for their audience. It's not for their market. They do a lot of sports. They do a lot of talking about the NFL and NBA and all of this stuff. It's going to be a hard sell to get Funhouse Bray and the Funhouse onto that network. So they've spent a lot of money. I'm sure they want the hottest thing going, which is the Fiend. So they've taken the Fiend, but they don't want the Funhouse, and that could be why it's ended tonight. Now, in truth, I don't think it has ended. I think it will return. And actually, Bray has sent a couple of tweets out. We've already done a video on that. So if you want to learn more about that, then there will be a link at the end. So let's get to the 5 theories, shall we? Because we could be here a long time if we don't. The first one, which is a very basic theory, is that Bray is a very ill man, mentally ill. He's been mentally ill since he returned back in April. The Firefly Fun House is a real place. It's easy to find if you look hard enough. It's just backstage. And Seth found it. He found it. He burnt it down. And Bray's confusion is that he has got a split personality. He doesn't feel that he is the same person as the Fiend. And we saw this during the episode. He was asking Seth, why? Why are you doing this to me? Now, Seth, of course, is just destroying anything and everything to do with Bray and to do with the Fiend. But Bray, Funhouse Bray, really feels like he is a separate entity to the Fiend, even though he isn't. And it's all to do with his mental health and the fact that he is really struggling. It means the puppets are real, which is why we were able to see them backstage, in between the original Funhouse ending and the Fiend arriving. We had lots of puppet appearances. It would explain how we got those. And then it would also mean that all of the cryptic tweets that Bray has been sending out have all been false. Like, he's not dead. This isn't limbo. It's just a very sick man. It's a very sick man. That is the secret of the Funhouse. Now, I really hope it's not that. That's very basic. Sometimes simple is best. But I really would like it to be something a little bit more mysterious than that. So, could be that, but I really hope it isn't. Moving on, though, to the next theory. The second theory is that the Fiend wanted this. Now, this could work as a mental place, a state of mind, or it could work as a physical place. I'm still not ruling out that all of this is going on within the mind. So let's have a look at this and kind of delve into this one, because this really is a big theory. So this theory kind of comes from the fact that in Hell in a Cell, at the end, the Fiend was basically lay in the ring, okay? He wasn't moving. He did this because he wanted to push Seth to the extreme. He wanted to test Seth Rollins. He wanted to get him to a point where he had to make that choice of, you know, does he listen to the angel or does he listen to his own demons? Does he listen to his own darkness? He listened to his darkness. He used that sledgehammer. The Fiend was down, motionless. Seth didn't try to win the match. Instead, he tried to finish the Fiend. He tried to put him away for good with that sledgehammer. The ref was pleading with him, and Seth used the sledgehammer. So this is why the Fiend and why Bray has been saying, I saw you. I saw you. And of course, they saw the real Seth Rollins. They saw his darkness. Now, it could be that the Fiend has now seen that Seth has got this inner darkness, and he wants Seth to destroy the Funhouse. Why does he want him to destroy the Funhouse? Because it holds him back. If the Funhouse is a state of mind, right, that would mean that the Fiend has always got the Funhouse in his mind. It would mean that the Fiend has always got this joy, this light, this laughter, this happiness, this jolly place in his mind. The Fiend doesn't want that. The Fiend could even be more destructive without that. So it could be that the Funhouse is basically the memories and the remnants from Bray's past, and the Fiend wants it gone. The Fiend, for whatever reason, isn't able to do that himself. He hasn't fully consumed Bray Wyatt. And actually, Bray has even said that he knows that he's losing control of the Fiend. He said that in tweets. We know this is true. But for whatever reason, the Fiend isn't able to get rid of the Funhouse himself. So he invited Seth Rollins in. If it's a physical place, then, you know, he showed him the way. And if it's a mental place, then he was able to let Seth in. So that Seth could destroy the Funhouse, so that the Fiend would be free from the shackles of the Funhouse. This is why Bray was so confused. He didn't know why Seth was doing this, because of course Funhouse Bray hasn't caused Seth any harm. And also, I suppose he must have been confused about why the Fiend wasn't protecting him. And again, he's kind of been betrayed by his own darkness, but then that's what darkness will do. It's darkness. Like, I don't think the Fiend wants friends. I don't think the Fiend needs friends. So it would kind of explain as to why the Fiend was quite happy for Seth to do that. So I do like the idea that Seth, absolutely blinded by his own darkness, consumed by his own darkness, was able to, again, go to lengths that maybe he wouldn't have gone to if he hadn't have been, and actually destroyed an innocent man's house, if you want to look at it that way. I mean, Bray was saying, why are you doing this to me? Plus also, people love the Funhouse. You could hear the boos. You could hear the boos. People are saying this is now confirmed. Seth Rollins is a heel. I'm not sure if he is or if he isn't, but he's certainly on his way. And I think that you will see him getting more and more consumed by this darkness. And it wouldn't surprise me if the end result is a full-blown heel Seth Rollins, much like what we've seen with Bayley recently and how she's been fully consumed by her darkness. I also like the idea that what if the Fiend can control people once they are consumed by their darkness? What if the Fiend controlled Seth because he was able to control Seth? What if you are taken over by your darkness and now that means the Fiend can control you? There was something that happened the other day which I dismissed. I'll hold my hands up. I dismissed it. Maybe I was wrong to do that. because Bayley is now a heel, and her new entrance music actually has her original theme shutting down, similar to what we see with The Fiend. And actually people even sent me clips saying, can you hear this? Because it's got The Fiend's shutting down music. Could it be that part of The Fiend is controlling Bayley? Could it be that part of The Fiend tonight controlled Seth Rollins? The final cherry on top of that theory is the fact that Seth Rollins said, burn it down. The same way that The Fiend, and the same way that Bray, when he appears to be consumed, says, let me in. So it kind of really does imply that something was controlling Seth Rollins here. Add on to the fact that The Fiend was laughing at the end of this as well, heavily implies this is something that The Fiend either wanted or is something that The Fiend approves of. You know, there didn't seem to be any concern from The Fiend at the end of this. So this is a big theory and can be taken in plenty of different directions. I'll kind of let you do that. But I think the overall theory is that this is exactly what The Fiend wanted, what he had planned, and this is something The Fiend is happy about. Just a spin-off from that theory is theory number 3. The Fiend didn't want this to happen, so this wasn't actually part of the plan. But Seth has still found a way, be it to a physical funhouse or be it into the mind of The Fiend, and has still found a way to actually burn the funhouse down. Now, The Fiend didn't want this. The Fiend doesn't want to get rid of the funhouse. He will actually protect the funhouse when he's able to. And so, as a result, that's not something The Fiend wanted, but The Fiend is still happy it happened. The laughing at the end, I really feel, is key here. I really feel that that is important because The Fiend laughing at the end is his approval. And I think he'd be happy because it shows that his plan is working. This might not have been what he had planned, but it's working. Seth is being consumed. Seth is being controlled either by The Fiend, like we said in our last theory, or by his own darkness. What if there's another mask on the way? What if there's another Fiend on the way? What if that Fiend is Seth Rollins, who is now being consumed by his own darkness? So even though this is something The Fiend might not have planned, he's still approving of it. Theory number 4 is called Freedom, and that's because now the Firefly Funhouse has been burnt down, be it mentally, be it physically. It means that these characters are free to go out into the wider world. So obviously this comes from the fact that a lot of people want Liv Morgan to be a part of this, like desperate for Liv Morgan to be a part of this. And Liv Morgan has even tweeted out some mumbo jumbo. I'll put it on screen. She's been doing this for a long time, so the only thing that doesn't sit quite well with me is that if the Funhouse has been destroyed and the souls are out there again, you know, you could see Liv Morgan becoming Abby the Witch, becoming Sister Abigail. That could be her new identity. Certainly she's been sending out these messages for a while, but the Funhouse only burnt down tonight. Sister Abigail's soul has been trapped within Abby the Witch, since the Funhouse began. That would mean that Liv was sending those tweets out when she wasn't actually consumed by Abby the Witch, consumed by Sister Abigail. That could only have happened tonight. So something about this doesn't sit quite right with me. But what this might mean is if the Funhouse has gone permanently, because we don't know if that can regenerate. We know that Ramblin' Rabbit can, but we don't know if the Funhouse can. So if that has permanently gone, that would mean that these characters are now free. It could mean that the puppets are free to go out there and cause carnage again. Or it could mean that the puppets are gone and the souls are free, which might mean that Bray could now be Husky Harris, which was Huskus the Pig Boy. It might mean that Bray can now be not only the Fiend, but Funhouse Bray. And it might mean that he can now be the old Bray Wyatt character as well. So, you know, maybe there's a few different characters here that Bray Wyatt can be. Like maybe 4. He can be Bray Wyatt, Funhouse Bray, The Fiend, and Husky Harris. He could go back to any of those personas. We saw the 3 faces of Foley. What about the 4 faces of Wyatt? People might be asking, what about Mercy the Buzzard? That was never Bray Wyatt. That was always his inspiration, his mentor, which was Waylon Mercy. So I don't think that's a persona that Bray could become. It'd be great to see Waylon Mercy come back, though. That would be awesome. And obviously Ramblin' Rabbit was always the promo style. It was a criticism that Bray had for his promos. And actually, Bray has come out and said that Ramblin' Rabbit has died. We've actually had a tweet saying that Ramblin' Rabbit has died. So I don't think anyone's going to become Ramblin' Rabbit. And what if the Funhouse has gone? What if Ramblin' Rabbit's ability to regenerate has gone? And so this could really open things up. We could have Liv Morgan as Abby the Witch, and we could have now the 4 faces of Wyatt. Of course, another theory could be that the Funhouse is going to be absolutely fine and it's going to regenerate and we'll be back to normal next week. I mean, nothing dies in the Funhouse. So it could just be that the Funhouse regenerates. Everything is absolutely back to normal. Ramblin' Rabbit has got that ability. Maybe the Funhouse has got that ability. So even though Seth Rollins has tried to burn down the Funhouse, that's actually not something that's possible. Very much like trying to put Bray Wyatt down, the Fiend down at Hell in a Cell. That's something that's just not possible. He thought he had him down, but as soon as the match was over, he pops up. Mandible Claw, Sister Abigail. This is a fight that Seth Rollins can't win. What he might be able to do is survive it and get out intact. He might lose his championship, but he might get out of it intact. But something tells me he won't. And it'll be very interesting to see his face next week if the Funhouse returns completely unharmed. Which leads me beautifully to the final theory. This isn't my theory. I saw this on Twitter. This was Juan Zavala. And this is a good little theory. Could it be that Seth Rollins has been so consumed by either the Fiend or by his own darkness that he's actually burnt down an empty room? Everything we saw was an hallucination. It didn't exist. Nothing has been destroyed. Like, the Fiend and Funhouse Bray are going to imply that it's been destroyed. Tweets have been sent to make it seem like it's been destroyed. But this is actually now Seth being consumed by his own darkness, maybe even by his own madness, and nothing was destroyed tonight. That might explain how the Funhouse comes back intact next week. This could all be part of the Fiend's plan. He is using Seth like a puppet. He is controlling Seth like a puppet. And this would be a very interesting development if the Funhouse is fine. And Juan was saying, what if we even see footage next week of Seth burning down an empty room? Awesome, guys. Thanks a lot for watching. We could carry on, but we've already gone a little bit longer than I wanted. But I hope you enjoyed the video all the same. So the Funhouse could be a physical place. It could still be a mental place. You know, the Fiend could have allowed Seth into his mind. And yeah, there's lots of different ways they can go with this. Sadly, I don't think we got many answers. Seems like we got answers, but I don't think we got many answers. Could be a physical place, as we said. Could be that basic theory at the start. Could be something the Fiend wanted. Could be something the Fiend didn't want, but is still satisfied with it. Could be that it's going to regenerate. It happened, but the room will regenerate. It could be that the puppets are now free, the souls are free, and we get the 4 faces of Wyatt. Or it could be that Seth just burnt down an empty room. Awesome, guys. Thanks a lot for watching. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and hopefully I'll see you again next time. Bye for now.